Hey everybody, it's episode 14 of Cubicles and Controllers. Come join us for some fun video game talk.
This is Lloyd, and that is the ever crazy Umair.
Umair.
Cool Johnson.
Ooh, Johnson. All right, man. Let's do this. Let's start it off with the huge. You know, as Paul would say, the huge.
With the huge. All right. Well,
what are you playing right now, Lloyd?
right now, I'm still playing Galaxy, the Swindle. I still play Last of Us multiplayer, which I've been trying to get you on, but you haven't joined us yet. What are you playing?
What am I playing? I just finished Far Cry. So I rented Alien Isolation.
Really? You know, that got actually some pretty good reviews. I could see you not liking it, though, because I could see it being, like, too slow. Is that what it was?
Pretty much. The presentation's amazing. The game looks amazing. How it works, mechanics, everything's really awesome. But man, talk about slow. Talk about slow, guys.
Well, that's because you're supposed to, like, it's not a lot of fighting. You're supposed to be high.
No, which is fine, because Mirror's Edge was kind of like that, where there's not a lot of combat. It's more evasion. I don't know what word I'm looking for, but Isolation, I played for about 2 days, about 6 hours in. Alien is one of those concepts that really should make a good game. And I like the concept of this one because initially you're just running away from aliens or hiding from them. What did you want to talk about, Lloyd?
Well, you were talking about games coming out, right? So you said you had no interest in Metal Gear. What about Mad Max or just
That looks awesome.
Mad Max comes out September 1st.
Yeah, that looks like a lot of fun.
Star Wars Battlefront.
That's pretty exciting. As a guy who's not into Star Wars that much, the way that game's set up seems perfect for the Star Wars world.
It doesn't have a single-player campaign, though. It's just going to be multiplayer.
For real? You're killing me, man. I just lost all interest in that.
Well, I figured I'd tell you, man. I was like, if you have no interest in multiplayer at all, that's not one for you.
All right, well, I'm going to bring up the theme for the episode. We're talking hypothetically, now that we're all getting into ages where our friends, family members, etc., are starting to have kids. And this question popped up in my head. Having kids. So say you have a kid or I have a kid. 10 years down the line, you're like, I want to show you the video games I grew up with. Not because they're great, but I want to show you what video games were, because who knows where games will be in 10 years from now. What do you think their reaction would be to seeing Mario or Nintendo Zelda, Super Nintendo Zelda, even 64 Zelda?
The same reaction I had when my dad showed me the games that he first started off with. It'll be like, that looks so old. I mean, because, you know, at that point, even if they haven't played a bunch of video games, they would have been exposed, like, via friends or TV or internet or something. So they'll think our stuff looks, like, extra dated.
Yeah. How do you think you would react to that?
Me? I wouldn't have much of a reaction to it. I would expect it, just me being me.
Yeah.
Like that.
And as with me, too. But I was trying to think. My dad wasn't a big gamer at all. He did support me and my brother's gaming hobby when we were kids with an Atari, Nintendo, Super Nintendo, etc. So I can't really speak to that, but our generation is going to be different, where we're gamers, like real gamers, mainstream gamers going into having kids who are probably going to game too. So I'm curious, like, both you and I have talked about this before. We're not super nostalgic about old games. At least, very much so, I'm not. Old games don't. I have a lot of fondness for The Legend of Zelda on Super Nintendo, But
Chrono
I
Trigger.
don't think if I played it again, I'd be like, this is awesome. No, all right. You know, like how people get crazy nostalgic over Mario 1. It's boring as shit.
Yes, it is. I got out of Mario 1 as soon as I could. Like it was cool because it was a video game, but as soon as I saw other video games, Mario was not a game I continued to play.
Yeah. It's so boring. People like go freak out about the Mario platform. I will say this: Nintendo Wii had the isometric Mario 3D world, which was kind of fun. You play with 4 players on one screen, that kind of thing. But that's a new element to it versus the traditional 2D Mario. Even Mario 3 is not fun, and Mario 3 was like the best it got.
Man, I loved Super Mario 3. No, no,
Yeah,
no. I loved Mario 3 was fun, but then when Super Mario World came out, I thought it was like on Super Nintendo, Super Mario World was like, oh,
yeah,
this is stuff
it
we
was
can do.
it was just gorgeous. I remember this, but I'm trying to think if I try to play that again now. Like I've lost interest like 5 minutes in.
There are a few games I could still play like that, like older games like Knights of the Old Republic. It's an RPG. Xbox, the first Xbox is on
I
that.
remember that. I remember that.
I can
Yeah.
still play that one.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Chrono Trigger from Super Nintendo.
See, I never played that, but I did play. The same developers did Secret of Mana, and I remember having the fondest memories of Secret of Mana. And people loved Chrono Triggers. Chrono Triggers was like one of the first games I got a perfect score by every single magazine at that time, when magazines were the thing.
Yeah, that game I can still play periodically, and Final Fantasy Tactics. I can still pull that out and play it too.
For him, see, I'm trying to think any old games that would be able to play. Because I still have my 64. I popped out my GoldenEye.
Oh, good.
No,
And it was
no.
it was so dated.
Uh, on top of the fact that,
It was hard to look at.
yeah, what really blew me away is that is the one game I've probably had the most social connections with. Um, of course, Halo came along and kind of piggybacked off of that. But GoldenEye was the turning point in video game quote unquote social networking. I remember since in high school I lived in a dorm, I used to have kids in my room and I had a big TV and we set up like cardboard frames. So everybody, like 2 guys stood on chairs to look at just their frame and 2 guys were on the bottom and it blocked out each other's frames. And I made a cardboard cutout and I would have like 12 to 15 people in my room waiting their turns. The number 1 player would stay on, the 3 would rotate on whoever lost and everything. And but hours and hours and hours as teenagers. That was a turning point in like, oh shit, games can be multiplayer awesomeness.
Yeah.
But I was trying to go back to that because it was just one of the most fondest memories. That game is rough. That game is rough.
The game that did that exact thing for me was Halo, because I didn't have an Xbox at first. Like I had a PlayStation 2 when
Yeah.
Halo came out, and there weren't really a bunch of games on Xbox I cared about.
Oh, Xbox was failing.
Yeah.
Halo.
But then, my friends, we started playing Halo over at a buddy's house, and they had the whole LAN party thing. And we started doing that split screen with like 2 and 3 TVs, and we'd do it for hours. And me and these friends of mine, we did that. I mean, we were grown ups. I mean, I was in college, about to finish college, but we were grown ups, and we did this for like 4 years. Every Thursday and every Saturday night, without fail, we played Halo. Shoot, even Sarah played, and
Dude,
and that was before it went online. When it went online, it changed the dynamic. And I've heard on the latest Halo 5, or yeah,
yeah.
Halo 5 that's about to come out. There's no LAN and no split screen, and I'm like,
I'm
that was
glad you
the
brought
best
that up.
part of the game.
Horseshit. Horseshit.
Yeah, no LAN and no split screen. I mean,
How about a
even
slap to the face to a hardcore Halo enthusiast? I'm not one, but I can empathize with hardcore Halo enthusiasts. You've taken away the one element
that was
that
different.
kind of brought Halo together.
Yeah, I mean, even once Halo went online, we still had you were there.
Yeah,
I still had LAN parties. I
yeah,
still had LAN parties, and they were full, and it was full of people when you came over.
yeah. Because in college, I was living with my brother and two other buddies, Barry and Mac, and we pretty much, my brother, since two of them were in a fraternity, we pretty much had a frat house where these guys would bring, and that's when Halo 2 came out. And these guys would bring TV sets with them in their trucks and everything. And we would hook up a bunch of Xboxes. And we did this for a year. Halo 2 is my second most fond memory of like social gaming. In fact, Halo 2 was the first game to really do proper, on the game system, proper campaign co-op mode too. And so that was crazy fun, playing with friends. Um, and I was just trying to think, playing Halo 1 again, it kind of has the same feel where you're like, whoa, this is outdated. But the thing is, Halo 1, the mechanics are still very, very relevant. Where a lot of the old nostalgic games, mechanics aren't relevant. Halo 1 still has relevant mechanics, and hence why the reboot Halo 1 HD version was still very playable because they just upped the graphics and it was very playable.
I can see that.
But yeah, I was trying to think where along the lines, even games right now, like and you know this about me, I'm incredibly passionate about the Uncharted series. To me, they're just the greatest things, and I actually would, if I had a hypothetical kid 8 to 10 years from now, I would love to show them like this game right here. It's hilarious, right? It's fun, huh? It's like, Dad, stop it. This game's lame. You're crushing me. And then I would give him black eye.
You got issues.
It'd be fun, man. I didn't say black eye. I said a black guy. You're welcome, Lloyd.
You got issues, man. But yeah, man, I think, by the time, we have kids playing video games, man, their stuff will be. I remember when the PlayStation.
You think you will adapt?
What do you mean? Adapt?
Because there's a lot of people. I had a few friends in college whose parents were hardcore gamers. Like, we're talking 70s and 80s, well into Nintendo era. They were hardcore gamers. But as soon as multiple buttons were introduced in, let's say, the 32-bit era, like Nintendo 64 and PlayStation and everything, they said they couldn't keep up. It was too much. The simplicity of 2 buttons or 4 buttons was gone.
I think I'll adapt. I think people like that, they tend to continue to play like Nintendo games, right?
Yeah.
Like, I like the complexity. I like think about it, man. I play on a Nintendo DS. I play games on mouse and keyboard on my PC, and I still play, controller-based games. I think the way I'm set up, I'll be good. It'll just be, if a game looks interesting to me, I'll learn how to control it.
Yeah.
That's just me. I mean, I drive a stick shift, man. I mean, I don't have issues with learning how to control things that other people.
No, I understand that, but it's also a mental thing where you're like, why bother? And I think I'll adapt too, because
that's because you still want to.
Hmm?
You'll adapt because you want to, because you still have the desire. You'll see that game on screen and you'll be like, I want to play this.
Yeah.
Whereas, think about it. Those guys, I mean, games back then, there wasn't as much narrative as it is now. You know, it was more simplistic gaming.
Yeah,
And
I think it was more of a score system for them. Where me, like I was just saying right now, if it's a solo multiplayer game, I have no interest. I don't care about the score side of it. I want the story.
right, and that's me. Like I play multiplayer games sometimes. Like I'll generally only be playing one or two at a time, but there has to be something in that multiplayer game that's different, like a different pull to it, or the gameplay.
Yeah,
And you know, when I'm talking about gameplay, I mean the way the game controls, not the modes that it has. I mean how it feels when I'm controlling the character, the different things you can do in the world of the
and
game.
how you're connected to the character.
Exactly.
I think that's part of the reason I don't like the old nostalgic 8-bit games is because
Very limited. It's like Mario. You're jumping on something's head. It's boring. It's like the control, the gameplay of a Mario Brothers game now. It's boring.
it's trivial. It is.
I mean, there's just not much you can do.
Well, that's all I have.